WTAP is celebrating its 70th year in the Mid-Ohio Valley. In the spirit of celebration, we have invited some familiar faces from the past to celebrate with us. We sat down with Zach Shrivers in this week's Turning Back the Dial.
Turning Back the Dial, a look back at WTAP's 70 years. Sponsored by Marietta Community Foundation and West Virginia Central Federal Credit Union.
I remember one of the first stories Philip sent me out to. There was a flood in, I think it was Cairo. And, you know, I was new to the field and I came to work in dress pants, dress shoes, a dress shirt, and a tie. And I was out in the mud covering a flood in this rural part of West Virginia. And it taught me to definitely keep a different pair of shoes in my car. I'll say that.
Zach Shrivers is a Mid-Ohio Valley native. Originally from Athens, Ohio, Shrivers came to WTAP 2 months after graduating from college in July of 2019. From this point, Shrivers dedicated himself to many different jobs throughout the newsroom.
I worked in Parkersburg at WTAP from July of 2019 to March of 2022. During that time, I was lucky enough to do a lot of different things. I was a reporter, a producer, and anchor, and I eventually worked my way to the assignment desk there. I remember it all very fondly. I got to cover some really cool stuff. I did stuff the first week I never thought I would do in my whole life. I remember one of the first stories Philip sent me out to. There was a flood in, I think it was Cairo. And, you know, I was new to the field and I came to work in dress pants, dress shoes, a dress shirt, and a tie. And I was out in the mud covering a flood in this rural part of West Virginia. And it taught me to definitely keep a different pair of shoes in my car. I'll say that.
Shrivers goes on to say that working in the Mid-Ohio Valley and the unique stories that it brought him to meant a lot to him.
Honestly, it meant a lot. It gave me a lot of really unique opportunities to work with people who I sort of knew, but or at least knew who they were, but had never really gotten to know. For instance, I was working for TAP at the time when Cincinnati quarterback Joe Burrow was at Louisiana State and was excelling there. And so I got to go back to my hometown and do some coverage on Joe and some of his successes. I talked to, I don't know, probably the mayor, a couple other people from my hometown that I sort of knew, but I didn't realize how much of an impact that that Joe was having on the city itself and the community itself. And I guess what I'm trying to say is it gave me a good opportunity to learn more about the place I grew up.
During his time at WTAP, Shrivers says that the main takeaway that he had involved the support system and the friendships that were forged in the newsroom.
I loved it there. I met some great people. Some of my favorite people I've ever worked with were at TAP. When I first got there, the morning anchor really, well, I guess she was still a reporter at the time, but Brittany Morgan really took me under her wing when I got there and taught me all kinds of stuff, how to be a good reporter, how to be motivated to be a good reporter too. I mean, Philip, I would consider a friend. Todd Boucher's one of my favorite people in the whole world. Just think the guy's hilarious, and just I really admire his what's the word I'm looking for here? Drive. I mean, to do the same thing for over 40 years in the same community, I really admired his ability to serve his community selflessly.
Shrivers eventually left WTAP in March of 2022 for a position as an assignment editor in Alabama.
I'm at WAFF Channel 48 in Huntsville, Alabama. We are the NBC affiliate here. We're a very competitive market.
After reminiscing, Shrivers had a few more sentiments about working at WTAP, from the growth he had during his time here and the people who helped to nurture that growth.
My time at TAP was a time of change in my life. I mean, I just left college. I got married shortly after I started at TAP. TAP very much taught me how to be a professional and an adult. You know, I learned all kinds of stuff there. You know, how to be a professional, how to make connections, It's very much a part of my life, a part of trying to think of a good word for it. It's I remember it kind of like I remember home. It's like I grew up there. Learned all kinds of stuff from Philip and from the other department heads there. Kevin Buskirk was like my crazy uncle when I was there. He was always bringing snacks into the newsroom, and you could tell the guy just genuinely cared about all the reporters and producers and everyone else who worked there. But it's I remember it all very fondly.
LV Hissam for WTAP News. This is home.
So it's looking like